Hello, everyone. Welcome. 10 Minutes with Barb and Ron. I'm Barb Gentili Green. Welcome, Ron.
Thank you. Ron Rogers with OCALI. I think I forgot to introduce myself in the last one, Barb. I probably wasn't too good, but hopefully people knew who I am. If not, then welcome to your first 10 Minutes with Barb and Ron. Now you have to go do the other 70 some.
That's right.
Okay.
Won't be their last.
So, Barb, can you name this?
Can I name that sound?
No, can you name what it is? Do you remember that?
No, you stumped me.
I always like to. You couldn't hear it? Oh, really? Yeah, I did 3 times. Anyway, it's one of these, and they do ding really nice, but I bet the sound, because of the way the computer gets rid of background noise, wouldn't allow it to come through. But anyway, I did hit them, and I always loved doing these for I loved using this for presentations, because you know how when you let somebody go take a 5-minute break, then it's time to get started again. I don't like to raise my voice, so I would always use one of these chimes to bring everybody back. And I don't know if you remember that or not. I don't know that I ever used that at SST 7.
No, I think you did. Now that you brought that up and showed me, I think I do remember that.
And this one's called a Pearl, and it's my favorite. I have several different ones because some of the SST directors ended up buying me some too. But all of them, and I mean, I think you guys may have bought. Did you guys buy some one time too for folks? Anyway, they only had 2 of the bars. And I have them, and I appreciate them, and I like them, and I used them. But my favorite's the 3-bar. It's the 3-bar one. So, yeah, and that's what we're going to talk about today's presentations. Because, you know, if you're going to implement universal design for learning or anything else, if you can do them within your own district and have your own folks do it, I think that works out the best. And people do have their own most knowledgeable people. And some districts have great pockets of universal design for learning. Mm-hmm. You know, so
I would venture to say maybe every district, whether they realize it or not, they're applying some of the principles of UDL in some little places, some little corners tucked away. So your point is we need to get those folks talking to their colleagues. Is that where you're going with this?
That's where I'm going with that altogether. Yeah. Yes. So I guess, you know, let's talk about presenting. What's one of the things that you always think about when you have to, well, let me ask you this first. When you have to present to a really large audience, or let's say you got to get in front of your whole district, do you still get those little buggy feelings in your stomach?
Yes.
I do too.
Yes, I do. Oh my goodness.
I do. I always kind of have to visit the restroom, and then I have that feeling. Sometimes I'll take a Tums, but you know, my old partner at SST1, when I worked there, John Swemba, great guy. And he always said, Ron, when you quit having those feelings, it's time to get out. Because just a little bit of nervousness keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you know, the first time I ever presented I thought I was going to pass out. You know, it wasn't anything I was comfortable with. But you know what I think it has done for me through the years then, and how it ties to UDL, is that mostly I'm nervous because I'm afraid that people won't be engaged or find it interesting, or that I'm not presenting it in a way that's understandable. And so that makes me start thinking about what are all the barriers that might be there that I need to think about before I start presenting. So
I was at something the other day, and I don't remember what it was, but it was professional development or something. And somebody said, oh, I just made a mistake. And Barb Gentili Green would stand up right about now and set me straight. It was first person. What would you always call that?
First language. Yeah.
Yes. Person first language. And oh my goodness, they were like, oh man, I'm so happy Barb didn't hear that. You know, and that happens quite a few times, not with that topic, but with others, where they'd say, oh, if Barb was here, you know. And it's just not people that worked with you at 7. It's people that have worked with you at some point somewhere. Yeah. So they always remember you, Barb. And every presentation I remember you ever doing, when you spoke, people always listened. You know, they were always eager to hear what you had to say. So I don't think that's something you would ever have to worry about.
You know, still feels it inside though, right? You know, like you said, those little nervous things. So when you're presenting, Ron, so one of the tools you use was your little bells there to bring people back. What are some other things that you have done to either make yourself feel more comfortable or to help your audience feel more comfortable?
I like to get the names of the people that are going to be there and try to memorize them.
Oh.
Or if not do that, try to find their names somehow, even if it's make sure everybody has their names on or whatever. I think it's important to call people by names. It's important to get to know them as soon as possible. So one of the things I love to do, I did it with my kids in the schools, and I've always done it, and that's shake hands with the people when they're coming in, or at least greet them as they're coming in. Or if I'm busy, because you know how it is when you're setting up for a presentation and you're having it at the home place, you're pretty darn busy. So maybe even after the tables start to fill, going around, introduce myself, shake hands, or talk to people, they have to feel comfortable with you.
Mm-hmm. You were always so good about that. You were always the one when I was busy, crazy, doing nitty gritty things. Yeah. You were always going around. And then what you would do, this is why I think co-presenting is so good, because you would learn some things about the people that were there in our group, and you'd come back and either tell me something about, hey, we've got somebody here who XYZ, fill in the blank, or you would weave that into the presentation and that connection.
Wow. You noticed.
Relationships, what you love.
You noticed. I'm totally, you got me on that one. Yeah.
No, you always did that.
I never thought about that. I would never have brought even that up, because I think that was just something natural. And you're right. I did tell you pieces and parts. That way you could use it. And you always did. You always remembered too, Yeah. And I knew you were just so busy with things I couldn't help you with, because you had a way to do things. And all I would do I would have been getting in the way if I hadn't been doing what I was doing. So, and I got to stay busy.
Yeah.
So
one of the things I always think about, Ron, is when I first started presenting, thinking about UDL, the first and easiest thing for me to think about was, how am I presenting the information in a variety of ways? Like, how am I getting that information to people? And so we always had something written or visual, right? A handout that they got. And I still prefer paper. I know we're doing a lot of things. I know,
but that's okay. You know what? The older I get, the more I want the paper, and a one-page summary. Just give me the one-page summary. I'll take it in paper.
Yeah. So, that is such a simple place to start, but it's really difficult sometimes with large groups or with adults when you think about, okay, what are all the different ways that I can present this, and how can I get them engaging with one another? And sometimes with a large group, that can be challenging. Just bringing them back, like you said, bringing them back to attention and focus.
And I remember some of the things you did with those huge groups. You would make sure there was extra rooms all around the building, and you'd break them out and let them choose which areas they wanted to learn more about. So they had a lot of choice, which is, again, UDL. You were just following the framework after a while.
Yeah. And they love that. They love being able to go somewhere and they either went by just picking the space that felt comfortable or the topic that they wanted. Like sometimes we have
the person. Topics. Some of them some of them just adored Steve and wanted to be with a fellow superintendent. Some adored Heidi because of, the same type of reasons, or any of the rest of your staff that you had there. So I loved having my own little small group. Because they were mine for like 40 minutes.
Right.
You really felt like, ooh, I got my own people for 40 minutes, And some of them. And go ahead.
The thing that always used to crack me up, though, is we would model all of that. And then they would say at the end, but if you could just show me what UDL is. And I would just be like, oh, I must have failed miserably because we were trying to model it the whole time. So we started explicitly starting and saying, we have designed this UDL and we want you to watch for, because it does take a lot of that thinking time to make it, be prepared for it, is the thinking that happens before the event. That's the most important.
It does. And to make anything flow, you really have to think it through. So, and, teachers, I adore teachers. I don't think our day we need to revamp what the school day looks like, give teachers way more time. Give kids more time for reflection, and teachers, and build in maybe a working piece. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff we could do. We just need to redo the schedule. It's but nobody lets us, so that's all right. You can still deal with it.
It's definitely time.
Barb, I think our 10 minutes are probably up. Let me see. Do you have anything in the ending here you'd like to mention about presenting?
Well, gosh, Ron. I do not. Nothing is striking me right now. I have this feeling, though, that you're like wanting to pull something out that you think I should say.
No. I didn't even have anything to say until you said something, and then I remembered. One of the best things that I always like to do when we present is take some of the things that we did, and towards the end of the day, have them all posted like in a hallway. And what did we always call it? It was a something walk.
Yeah, like a gallery walk.
It was a gallery walk. I love the gallery walk. I think it was so tremendous. And then have people kind of write on things. Of course, we always use the big posters that Ella sometimes would make for us. And that helped too with the gallery walk. If they were creating different things, then we could hang it up. But gallery walks are big. So if nobody's ever done a gallery walk, especially with your own students in the classroom, you got to look at it. Another one would be fishbowl too, probably.
It's such a nice way to synthesize. Like you said, we would do it at the end of a day or end of a session. And it's a great way to synthesize the information you took in and be able to spit it back out in a way that makes sense to you, that others could read it and be like, oh, that's what, I didn't catch that part. So
way better than please fill out the evaluation at the end. Come on. Let's just do a simple plus delta. We can get a whole lot more out of a plus delta because then we can change things up the next time or know what we really, really did well, and we know it together because everybody had their input.
Right.
So anyway, okay, well, that's it. That Ron's out.
Okay, good to see y'all. Barb is out. See you next time.
See y'all. Bye. YouTube, please subscribe, like, comment, and share.